Thanks for joining today's mini webcast. Over the next 15 minutes, myself and our CEO, Harry Daniels, will walk you through and explain how we simplify a seamless migration from legacy operating systems that are non-compliant, how we can migrate your legacy technical debt from those systems to new modern compliant systems without changing any ones or zeros. Before I go into detail about how we actually achieve that and how we've simplified it, I want to give you a quick 1 minute overview of why customers come to Droplet and, more importantly, the business outcomes that can be achieved by adopting Droplet NeverTrust. Our core feature and value proposition to our clients is the fact that we can seamlessly migrate any x86 application, including any dependencies such as old versions of Internet Explorer, Java, .NET, etc., and migrate them seamlessly by encapsulating them and put them inside our NeverTrust container, isolating them away from the network, away from the operating system of the host device that we are access from, in this case, a new modern compliant Windows 11, for example, and deliver them in line with the highest cyber security standards across NIS2, CAF, and DORA. In fact, many of the customers who come to us with this particular problem, they've got a legacy application which cannot be modified, cannot be upgraded, and has failed a recent pen test due to the fact that they're vulnerable and they're unpatched. That's a very common scenario that we fix for our clients. So without any further ado, let's take a deeper look at what we do, how we do it, and explain and show you some of the actual features. The good news is we've been around for over a decade now, and we have experienced pretty much every vertical that makes up our critical national infrastructure. Over the last decade, I've approached this with a specific application. In some cases, it's a bespoke in-house application, but we have experience across all verticals, and we've helped overcome these challenges without changing any ones or zeros, as I say. So whatever vertical you're in, chances are we've already got an existing customer that we've helped with the very same challenges. And as highlighted already, most of our customers have approached us on the back of a failed pen test. But let's look at the actual migration piece and walk through how do we do that migration, particularly when the IT team do not know how it was built, how it was configured. They don't have the original install media. Another common challenge that we come across is a bespoke in-house application, and the person who developed it doesn't work at the company anymore. There's very little documentation on how the application was built and configured. No one knows what the components are, i.e. the plugins, the Java versions, the Internet Explorer versions, etc. No one actually understands how it was built. And more often than not, we hear there's a big sign on it that says, do not switch off. Purely down to the fear of and uncertainty of what happens if it breaks. Again, more often than not, these applications tend to be the heartbeat of the organizations. It's the actual mission critical app that the company has been built on for 20, 30 years. No upgrade path, or alternatively, the cost associated with upgrading it to a new version is out with their budget. It's unpractical, financially unpractical. These are the challenges that we simplify and address by capturing them and migrating them to new modern platforms without changing anything. End users don't even know that Droplet's there. They're accessing it on a new operating system through the same shortcut and has the same look and feel. So, how do we actually achieve this? What do we do to simplify this? As I've already highlighted, we've been doing this for the last decade, and over the last decade, our developers have developed a droplet wizard, a simple wizard that points, clicks, clones, drips out all the ones and zeros, and then converts them into our code, and then points to a new IP address and reboots the system, completely unchanged. The migration has took place. So I'm going to hand over to Barry, and Barry will show you and walk you through our Droplet Wizard in more detail. Barry, over to you.
Thank you, Derek. That was great. So, how do we get you from where you need to be to where we want you to be? Where does the magic happen? Well, it's in the Droplet Configurator tool. And we can take any of your existing disk formats, whether it be direct from vSphere, as I'm showing here, whether it be Hyper-V, there's a slightly varied tool that takes Hyper-V, or whether it's purely bare metal and you want to actually displace your entire hypervisor set and run multiple container workloads on Droplet directly, we can do whatever it needs to. Also can be in the cloud. And you would, in this instance, take your vCenter, as this is the most popular that we see. You would put your admin credentials to log into your vSphere environment, be able to select the local host name, set your ESI host up, and basically do all the parameters that you would need to be able to log directly into your current vCenter environment. And then what we can then do is set up the Droplet server appliance. You would set your admin password, your username within there. In the first instance, you would set up how many VMs you want to run, the host that you want to run Droplet on. In this instance, as we're showing, vSphere, or it could be targeted as, say, at bare metal or at Hyper-V. Really doesn't matter, or any cloud. You would take the base name that you would want as one, and then it will automatically in synchronous label the others that you may want to wish in there of 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., and do that in a synchronous manner. Setting up the data store, how much RAM you want to give, how much your second size disk, which will be your container storage pool size, will be in there. Set your port range up and your individual range for the Droplet IP from your existing network, and then furthermore create that air-gapped invisible quantum resistant network that's completely private, invisible to the outside, and if it conflicts with something that you have, by default we use the 172.16 range, but you have the ability to change it at this point and the port number of which Droplet runs on, to create this completely private air-gapped network. It's as simple then as selecting the license file. If there's an update for Droplet, we can do that at this time. And then select your disk format. Now the disk formats that we support are multiple. We can support VMDKs, VHDX, OVAs, QCOW2, and really the disk format that you have in its existing format can then be selected. You can then choose that from the file that you have, whether it's a pre-prepared Droplet container that's already been pre-built by the Droplet engineers, or whether it's more along the OVA or VMDK or VHDX format. As I said, you can then go and select that from your existing stores. And then it's as simple, once you've done multiple selections if you want, or just an individual one, of clicking the install button, and away the wizard then takes you through the process of setting that up. So it lists, and in this particular instance would log into your vCenter under your admin credentials. It would shut down, export that in an OVA format from your existing vSphere. That would then bring that into the Droplet world. We would bring that then environment back up on your side on the VMware. So very little downtime is needed for this particular piece. Remember, you can take it from a backup and do OVA type exports, as lots of the backup vendors support that from your existing backup. So you can have actually zero downtime and zero maintenance window required. But in this particular ways, this is automated to be able to shut it down, take that snapshot, copy it over to Droplet, and then it goes through the process of converting it into the Droplet format, which would then go through the process, give you the prompt that you're now complete, and then you can go to wherever it is that you've installed it. In this instance, it's vSphere. It will show up as another virtual machine, as a virtual appliance in the vCenter, and be able to be managed under that hypervisor. Or indeed, you can just log into the admin console of Droplet in the first instance and use the Droplet admin portal, either with a hypervisor or without a hypervisor, to then manage your workloads and containers. Back to you, Derek, to show in a bit more detail a demo of this portal.
Thanks very much, Barry. As you can see, I'm logged into the Droplet admin portal. From here, you get the basic admin view of the health of the Droplet server appliance. Under this tab here, we have the containers that are on my Droplet server appliance. In fact, we've got the migration of the Windows XP. So Windows XP is now sitting here, as you can see. And the Server 2008, again, is here. So that's a migration done. We've took that legacy OVA format and converted it into our ones and zeros, and then put it into the Droplet server appliance. From the admin portal, you can do multiple things. So you can start the container, you can reboot, shut down. It's a build once deployed to many solution. So once it's built inside the container, you can clone it and use your existing deployment tools such as Intune to deploy to many. Another very important feature that we've added recently is the snapshot functionality. Really urge you to read the small print in your backup solution. It's not just Microsoft who don't support legacy. Many of the top backup solution providers in the world will not back up anything older than 2012. So from a disaster recovery perspective and a cyber resilience perspective, I would strongly urge you to read the small print in your backup solution. To help mitigate the risk of any downtime in a Droplet world, you can simply create snapshots. So once it's migrated into our container, we've created a snapshot. That snapshot can be easily restored at a press of a button. So we bridge the gap between what the backup vendors and Microsoft are doing on the non-compliance side, unsupported side, and we give you an alternative method of securing those apps on modern day platforms and continuing to snapshot, clone, and backup. From this window here, by default, all our ports are blocked. The only way into a Droplet application is via a Droplet appliance. The traffic between both the client and the server appliance is encrypted to quantum-resistant standards, which is achieved via a 4-key revolving cipher, which rotates to a point in time every second. The purpose of this panel here is to simplify the network configuration. By default, all ports are blocked. However, you can override that where some applications need you need to add extra security, such as block all internet access, block LAN, block internet and LAN, or apply no restrictions. And it's a simple one-click button. So hopefully what I've showed you today and what Barry's discussed today has gave you a bit more of an understanding of how Droplet can seamlessly migrate your legacy technical debt from a non-compliant world to a modern compliant system, more importantly, deliver it in line with CAF, NIS2, and the latest DORA cyber frameworks. And finally, if any of the scenarios we've discussed today apply to your organisation and you'd like to test Droplet, no risk, no upfront cost, and a free proof of value, simply email info@droplet.world and one of our team will get back to you. Thanks for taking time out today. Thank you.